think you are listening to, you are absolutely listening to the George Espinlove Show, coming to you live from the Funny Farm. Now, with no further ado, here comes Georgie!
All right. Oh, my goodness gracious. I think you are ready for another great show here on the George Espinlove Show, coming to you live from the Funny Farm in a place called Our World. And I want to welcome you, whether you are down the street, around the corner, across this great nation, or around the world. We welcome you to our show, and we want you to have a blast. Hey, listen, last night, man, I'm telling you what, I'm trying to find the right words. That was just, I can't find the right words. I've been trying to think of what it was all day. That was just fantabulous. We'll use Espinlove's word again. That was just fantabulous. And I want to encourage you. Every American needs to hear the show last night, not because it's my show, but because of our guest and his qualifications and what he had the courage to do. And I'm speaking about none other than Brett Broughton, who wrote the book Homeland Insecurity and talks about our nation at risk. Why is he qualified to write such a book? Because he worked in the U.S. Customs and Homeland Security, and he had he was kind of like a top-ranking guy in his area, in his field. So he's retired now, but he decided to write a book and lay it out there so the American people could see. And I trust and pray that you'll listen to the show last night. It's archived. Just go back and listen to it and listen very carefully to what he said. And not only that, get his book. I'm almost done with it. Homeland Insecurity, Failed Politics, Policies, and a Nation at Risk by Mr. Brett Broughton. Get it. Go to his website, homeland-insecurity.com. Homeland-insecurity.com. Don't forget the hyphen between Homeland and Insecurity. Homeland-insecurity.com. Failed Politics, Policies, and a Nation at Risk. Sit down and listen to it, and when you're done listening to it, if you know someone that hasn't listened to it, get them and say, listen to this. You need to hear. We are in dire straits in this United States of America. So I hope it opens your eyes, and I hope it causes you to think, and I hope it causes you to stand up and move out and do some action that we can make this country just as great as it was before. All right, so much for that. We have with us tonight, I want to say this. I want to say thank you to Charlie for... Wait a minute, I dropped my thingy here. Okay. I want to say thank you to Charlie for a job well done. Night after night, all the time. Charlie is my announcer. He got somewhat of a strange voice, but, he's my announcer. He's my co-host. He runs the soundboard. He goes down and digs out the music and brings the music up, and then reports back to the artist and lets them know that we played their music. He helps me contact people. He helps me do email. He helps me do the whole 9 yards. So, Charlie, I really thank you for what you've done and what you're doing. And so I think we need to just give Charlie another great big cheer. What do you think, huh? Take a bow, Charlie. Attaboy. Charlie got a smile from ear to ear. And I mean to tell you, Charlie's got some big ears. But nonetheless. Our guest tonight is Mr. Frank Reed out of California, Stockton, California. And he has written a book entitled Mother's Six Marines. And I'm going to let him tell you about that book and what it consists of and all the other things that might be on his heart. So let's welcome Frank Reed. Frank, good evening and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I was telling the folks that you're out there in California, and we're over here on the East Coast in Delaware, so that's about as far apart as we can get on this continent, isn't it?
That's right.
I asked you before we went on the air, and I'd like you to tell the listeners. Number one, I want to say thank you, Frank, for your service. You were in the Marine Corps during World War II, isn't that correct?
Yes, I didn't do too much in the Marines, but I was in from, the dates is January 43 till May of 46.
You served, my brother. You wore the uniform, and you were there when your country needed you, and I thank you so very, very much. That's the first thing. Now, I asked you this before we went on the air, and just tell our listeners, you know, I'm like a kid when I'm talking to you, Frank. I'm 64 years old, but I'm like a kid when it comes to you.
You're just a year older than my oldest boy.
You are what, 89?
I'll be 89 in July this year, yeah.
Yeah, see, I'm just a rookie compared to you. I'm still a baby. But
well, I wouldn't say that. I think you've got enough to concern the baby.
We were talking about modern technology. Did you ever think, Frank, that there would come a day that you out there in California would be talking live on radio that reaches around the world here now? Did you ever think that would happen?
Not in the wildest dream would I have ever dreamed this would happen. But it's got me pumped up. I'm really waiting and eager to go.
It's the most amazing thing that...
Yes, it is.
And we can sit here and we can broadcast live around the world. And, you know, Frank, sometimes we take our show on the road because all you really need is an iPad or an iPhone, a microphone, an internet connection, and you can go anywhere. Sometimes we take it on the road and we do little odds and ends and whatnots. And every time we do it, or every time we do it here from the studio, it just amazes me that with a little flick of the button, we're live broadcasting around the world. It's just the most amazing thing. And for us old guys, it just blows our mind, don't it?
It sure does, that's for sure. Yeah, I can hardly fathom it, really. Like, it's amazing to me that I can pick up a phone here in California, dial a number, and somebody on the other end can pick it up. I don't know how that number got over there, but it got there.
You wrote a book, Frank, called Mother's Six Marines. And
Correct.
And when I put this up on the show page today on the internet, I think I asked the question, how would you like to be a woman that is married a Marine, and then 5 sons went in the Marine Corps. Your mom must have she must have been quite a lady.
Well, she was, and she was quite proud of all of her boys that followed their dad into the Marines. That's for sure.
Did Mom keep you fellas straight while you were at home growing up?
Pretty much. To give you a little background on my life is I was the next to the oldest of 8 kids. The oldest was a sister, and I was a year later. Then I had 2 sisters. Then I had the 4 brothers follow off the end. When I was 10, I had double pneumonia for the second time when I was pretty a sickly kid. But I missed the 4th grade during the pneumonia and had to take it over again. And I moved into town. When I was 13, my youngest brother was 2 years old, and I had to go to work. And my mother was my guide. I went to work as a farmhand and did all kinds of farm work, from planting wheat, planting corn, harvesting corn, you name it, that they did on the farms back in Kansas, where I was born and raised. When we all followed my father into the Marine Corps, she was quite happy and proud.
Now, your dad, he served in World War I, right?
Yes, he was an infantryman. He fought in Belleau Wood and quite another number of other campaigns over there. He was never really injured, but he was Belleau Wood, they say, was the starting of the Marine Corps. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of proud of that. My father was one of the group of Marines who stopped the Germans just short of Paris and Belleau Wood. And he did have a slight indigestion of mustard gas, which bothered him most of his life. But he did earn 2 silver stars while he was over there. Plus, he had 3 French Laguerres presented to him.
That was quite a tour of duty.
Yes, it was.
When he got out, I was reading here in your book. When he got out, he found it hard to find a job, right?
Well, yes, and I attribute that to him being a half-breed. Mm-hmm. My grandmother, from all I can gather, was a full-blooded Sioux Indian, Agahuela Sioux. Mm-hmm. And when my dad came out of the Marine Corps, it was like they treated the colored and a lot of other ethnic groups, and it was awful hard for him to find a job. But he earned the money by fighting in the ring at carnivals, where they had this big guy come up and say he would give $100 to anybody who could stay 3 rounds with him. Now, $100 back then was a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Of course, it was all bare-fisted fighting, but he earned the money. He would get in there and play with them for a couple rounds, then knock the guy out. He was not really wanting to make the ring a profession, but he was, from what I understand, a pretty tough bird at the job he had.
You know, the man goes into the Marine Corps when the country goes to war. He fights his heart out. Silver stars, awarded medals by the country of France, served our country with dignity, upheld the Corps in its highest esteem, comes home, comes out after laying it on the line, and you are discriminated against. It must have been gut wrenching for your father.
Well, I imagine it was. I still think the country could do more for the servicemen who are coming back from fighting for putting their lives on the line for this country.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't know what the answer is, but I'm sure something more can be done for them.
I often say, and my listeners have heard me say this so many times, they probably already know what I'm going to say. My heroes, my real life heroes, are the men and women that have served, that are serving our country in uniform around this world. They are the heroes.
I agree with that 100%.
I like sports, but I don't get excited over sports figures, and I don't get excited over celebrities, and I don't get excited over this other I call stuff. But if you want me to get excited, you let me see or talk to a veteran or a man or a woman, and it doesn't matter where it's at, a man and a woman that's serving in uniform right now, I get excited, Frank. How about you?
Yes, I do. As I say, I didn't do much when I was in the Marines, but I've loved the Marine Corps, and I think that's true for any service. Man who puts, or woman who puts their life on the line to get out there and fight for this country. They're top notch.
Yeah, and if anyone should be taken care of, I mean top shelf, all the way. I mean first class. It should be the men and women in uniform, and that's just the way it is, and that's just the way I feel.
I'll echo that and put a thumbs up on it.
So your so your dad went in the ring and earned that's a rough way to earn $100, but I guess that's
He did that until he met my mother, and then the fighting stopped, and he became a farmhand.
Mm.
He was a good farmhand and a champion cornhusker. Not much of a farmer. He didn't make a go at keeping the farm going, but as a hand, yes, he was very good, top-notch hand. And I'm happy to say that I followed in his footsteps there, because once I was 13 and had to go to work to help support the family, I became a top-notch hand myself and was never for the want of a job.
There was a lot of fellas that had to do that back in the day,
yes.
Wasn't there? Young men that had to quit school and just muscle it out to help the family.
That's for sure. Well, with 8 kids in the family, and me being next to the eldest, I had to do my share. And as I say, from the time I was 13 on, I was never without a job. Most of it was doing farmhand work, but I did have a stretch of construction work with the cement grain elevator people who were building cement grain elevators. And that come in real handy, because at the time I got that job, my dad's mustard gas situation had resurfaced and he was in the hospital. Mm. So my checks from that company turned in pretty good. By the way, a farmhand received $2 a day in grub. Mm. The other job I had as a construction worker paid me 50 cents an hour. So that was a big improvement in wages.
You were uptown then, weren't you?
Yeah, no.
Did your father pass away due to the mustard gas?
I don't think so. It may have had a play in it. No, he passed away of bone cancer. Now, the mustard gas may have played a part in that. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But he was 82 when he passed away.
Oh, my. I'm looking at a picture of your mom and your dad. they
Uh-huh.
they are quite nice together.
They were a good couple.
Did and I kind of asked you something like this before, but Mom, she took care of everybody, huh?
To the best of his ability, yes.
Mm.
There was a time when he couldn't find work and he had to go on WPA back there. And I don't know what all the jobs he worked on. I just know it was WPA, which was formed by Roosevelt
Mm-hmm.
to help out people who were without work.
Did your mom work or did she stay at home?
No, Mom was a stay-at-home gal.
Mm-hmm.
She did work later on in life. That was just before I went into the Marine Corps. My dad had to find work, couldn't find any work in Kansas, so he went to Colorado and got on with Burlington Railroad in Denver. So after I finished my junior year of high school, I took the rest of the family and went to Colorado, and we settled in a little place called Daniel's Garden by Lakewood, Colorado. And my mother went to work then. She became a salad maker at a defense company cafeteria. And as far as I know, that's the only time she ever worked outside the family.
Let me ask you a question, Frank, because there's certain events that happen to us in our life, and we can remember exactly where we were. And I'm sure on Pearl Harbor Day, December 7th, 1941, do you recall where you were?
Well, I was in Kansas yet and moved to Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
I was probably going to school in my sophomore, junior year probably. I don't recall too much of what was going on around me. I know that everybody was stricken and were condemning the Japs from high heaven because of it.
Mm-hmm.
We listened to the radio and Franklin Roosevelt and the Day of Infantry and so forth. But no, I don't recall exactly what I was doing.
When you turned, you went in the Marine Corps when you were 17?
No, I ended when I was 18. I was in my senior year of high school when I got my draft notice.
Mm-hmm.
And not wanting to go into the Army, I wanted to follow my dad into the Marine Corps. So we went down and I joined the Marine Corps. And they sent me right, this was in December of 42, and they sent me right to San Diego, where I laid up in a barracks until they could get enough recruits to start a platoon.
Mm-hmm.
And that platoon started in January of 43.
What was Mom and Dad's reaction when you joined the Marine Corps?
Well, my dad was pretty happy that I followed him, and my mother was quite proud of the fact, too, as far as I know. They were both happy that I entered the Marine Corps.
How much age difference is between you and your brothers?
My oldest younger brother is 4 years younger than I am.
Uh-huh.
And Ralph, that's Ralph. Then Roy, Lloyd, and George. They all came in after the first family. I always consider my family as two families. The first one was 3 girls and a boy. The boy being me, the second oldest.
Mm-hmm.
Then the other one were the 4 boys, Ralph, Roy, Lloyd, and George. And George is 11 years younger than I am.
Mm. So
George into the Marine Corps in 1955, and I was married and had my family at that time living in my home in Belmont, California. And when he joined the Marine Corps, as I said before, I thought he was going to be an Air Force officer or going to the Air Force, because he was being raised by my older sister and her husband, who were, he was a officer in the Air Force. And when it come time for him to go in the service, he joined the Marine Corps. And at that time, in 1955, I thought that something ought to be in print about 5 boys following their father into the Marine Corps. But I procrastinated on it for so many years until, well, it's been 2 years ago when I finally got the book Mother's 6 Marines written.
You did procrastinate.
In there.
Yeah, you did procrastinate, Frank. That's a lot of time.
But that I did, and I didn't know how to get started. In the front of my book, I've attributed the getting started to a friend who I met here where I'm living at a place called O'Connor Woods here in Stockton, California, a retirement home. There was this lady by the name of Vicki Sanders, who had written quite a number of books and an author herself. And I had quite a few good conversations with her. And she said that the easiest part or way to do it is just sit down and write your story, forget about paragraphs and everything, just write your story.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I thought that was easy enough to do, so I sat down. It took me a while to get started, several false starts, but some encouragement from my family and friends, why I finally got it down, and then I went back and put it into book shape and had a good friend proofread it, and from there it went to the publisher, and the end result is a memoir of the book of Mother's 6 Marines, which I'm pretty proud of, and I just kind of hope it can spread the word around a little bit.
I don't blame you for being proud. And they can get the book at Amazon.com, and they can also go to TatePublishing.com, right?
Right.
And get the book. And we'll mention that again. We'll mention those websites. I think I put the websites up on the show page today. In fact, I'm quite sure. Frank, have you ever during the time you was writing this book or any time before, have you ever researched or been told or read how many you have the most unique? That is most unique. Period. Dad and 5 brothers or 5 sons, all in the Marine Corps. Did you ever find out how many other families out there had dads and sons all follow in line, and how many?
No, I've never researched that. I did know about the Sullivan brothers,
mm-hmm.
and I did know that they passed a law that no 2 brothers could be in the same outfit.
Mm-hmm.
And that came into my story a little bit because my one brother, Ralph, the oldest of my younger brothers, made the Marine Corps a career, and he was a 30-year Marine. Well, at one time, he was at the head of a school in Southern California, and my younger brother wanted to attend that school, and he couldn't as long as my other brother was the head of the school.
Hmm.
But as it so happened, my Ralph was transferred to the Pacific Command, and so my younger brother George got to go to his school.
I'm looking at the picture of Ralph, 30 years a Marine. He looked like he was quite a husky fella.
Yeah, well, there's a picture of him with me just after he got out of boot camp, and then a picture of him by himself, I think, was an officer, on the last page.
Mm-hmm.
It's Ralph was a 30-year Marine.
Yeah.
To give you a little bit of an idea of what I look like, there's that picture taken of me and my 4 brothers and my sister Agnes just before I went into the Marine Corps.
And you said what, you had 3 sisters or 2 sisters?
I had 3 sisters.
3 sisters.
Beulah was a year older. Then there was Wilma and Agnes right after me.
Mm. And I was reading that your family had Marines in the First World War, the Second World War, Korea, and Vietnam. Now that's
correct.
That's covering some real estate, and that is a piece of history.
Ralph, to give you a little bit of information on him, was a artillery sergeant in Korea, and he got a battlefield commission, and he went right on up then, and served as an officer. He was in the Pacific Command, head of all Marines in the Pacific. When he was up for full colonel, he was lieutenant colonel at the time,
mm-hmm.
and he caught a disease, and I think he caught it in either Korea or Vietnam, which he served in both places. That disease crystallized the cartilage that went up by your spinal cord,
mm-hmm.
and it would form fish hooks and snag the spinal cord. Some of these fish hooks would go right through the spinal cord.
Mm.
Well, he had umpteen number of operations to get that squared away, but he finally got him in 1999, I think it was, when he passed away. And it was from that disease that he had.
Now, Ralph, he served in Korea and Vietnam, you said.
Right.
And how about Lloyd?
Lloyd, he served in Korea, and he was the only one of the family that was injured in battle. He was a communications expert, and he was stringing wire, and a sniper got him in the stomach.
Mm.
And he was served time aboard a hospital ship just off the coast of Korea for about 3 months. Then he went back in, and he served all the way up down Korea.
Now, when you got out, Ralph hadn't went in yet, or had he?
He had just gotten out of boot camp.
Mm.
He was. I had sent for my wife, and she came out to live with me at Camp Pendleton.
Mm-hmm.
And we were in a little rented apartment in Oceanside, California. And my first visitor to that place was my brother Ralph. He had just gotten out of boot camp. He came to visit me.
I'll bet you were prouder than a peacock of your brother.
To say the least, yes.
Uh-huh.
I was. And I was just as proud when each and every one of them followed him right on into the Marine Corps.
I'll bet you were.
Roy, the next one, served all of his time at El Toro, California. He, I don't know how do you explain it, he was a clerk.
Mm-hmm.
But he did the paperwork on Ralph and Lloyd going to Korea.
Huh.
And so they were in about the same time. George got in a little later, but and he became an expert on tracked vehicles. He was a amphibious tractor driver to start with.
Huh. So who was the youngest? George?
George.
Uh-huh.
George is 11 years younger than I am, and he now resides in Shreveport, Louisiana. He's got a bunch of sons-in-laws, nieces and nephews, and they're all going in the Marine Corps. He's keeping the whole thing alive.
I'm telling you. Yeah, your family must have. You know, I I guess I could say it this way. When we have family gatherings, there's my wife and myself, and then we had four kids, and they had kids, and all the grandkids, and so on and so forth. And sometimes I'll look at my wife and I'll say, there used to only be two of us, and now there's like 16 or 18 or 20 or I don't know. I lost count. And then she'll say, "Yeah, and it's all your fault." But your family must have, with all your brothers and your sisters, your family must have really expanded over the years, did it?
Well, they have quite a bit. However, they're starting to go downhill. Out of the 8 of us kids, there's only 3 of us left. Roy, who's 4 or 5 years younger than I am, lives in Southern California. Then George in Shreveport, Louisiana. And the rest are all gone. But up until they started dying off, we had us a family reunion every year. And yes, it was quite a gathering.
I'll bet
up to 100 to 200 people there all the time.
I'll bet that was something to behold.
Yeah, it was. It was a joyful time for all of us.
Ladies and gentlemen, get this book. I mean, I just think it'll uplift you. It's one of those books that'll kind of just lift you up and make you feel good about humans again. There's actually people in this country that has voluntarily laid it on the line, served in the armed forces. It'll just put faith in man back into your heart, and you can get it. You can get it at TatePublishing.com or go to Amazon.com and get it there. Mother's 6 Marines. I'm just amazed. I'm just amazed. How old was your mom when she passed away, Frank?
She was 94.
Oh my goodness. You sure do have some longevity in your family, don't you?
That's just the start of it. She had an uncle by the name of Ray Guest who lived up in Washington and worked in an apple orchard up there. And he worked in his apple orchard past 100 years, and he passed away at 114.
Oh, my goodness.
So, yes, I've got longevity in my family. And her father passed away at 98, and I have a picture of him and Ray Guest standing together. And Ray Guest was, I guess, about 5 years older than my grandfather, but he looked about 10 years younger in the picture. So I don't know what he did, but he took good care of himself up there.
I've been thinking about your mom all day long, and I just couldn't get her out of my mind, because she had to be one, and I said this before, but she had to be one terrific lady to have married a Marine that served in the First World War, had 8 children, 5 of her sons all went into the Marine Corps, and they served in the Second World War and Korea and Vietnam. Ralph put 30 years in the Marine Corps. She just had to be one fantastic lady. And I remember my grandmother. She raised 8 kids all by herself, and she was just a little bitty lady, and her boys were all big. Her boys were all big, but I can remember that she would keep them boys in line, my uncles. I wasn't very old, but I can remember little grandma would keep them boys in line, and they would walk the straight and narrow when they was around mother. And I just kind of pictured your mom something like that.
my mother was my mentor, really. When I had to go to work, she took the calls and made my job appointments for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave her my checks because they had to help with the family.
Uh-huh.
And, of course, she always doled out a little bit to me anyway for some things that I needed. But I worked to support that family, and I'm proud of the fact that I did. And all the time I worked, I still attended school, became a Boy Scout. I was an Eagle Scout.
Mm.
And I'm just kind of proud of the way things have progressed, clear up through my marriage and up to now. My wife and I were together for 62 years. I lost her. Today is her anniversary, the 7th of February in '07.
Mm.
And we have 3 great kids, and I'm quite proud of them.
You have had
There's
quite
one thing that might interest you, and that is when I was in grade school, after having to take the 4th grade over again, one day in my 4th grade class, I was copying my homework over and making it as neat as a 11-year-old can make it. The teacher came up behind me, looked over my shoulder, reached over and grabbed my homework and tore it up. She explained, that would teach me from copying somebody's work.
Hmm.
And I said, Miss Henry, that was her name, Miss Henry, that was my homework that you tore up. She says, don't talk back to me, and slapped me across the face. Well, I said, Miss Henry, I do not lie. That was my homework, and I slapped her back. Well, that earned me a quick trip to the principal's office.
I imagine.
Everything all squared away because my dad come in and told him that, yes, I had did the homework and so forth. Well, years went by. I was 16 now, and I was an accomplished swimmer. I was a diver on our scout swim team. But I was working for this construction company, and I had some time off, and I went to the city lake to get in a swim and just kind of relax. There weren't very many swimmers there, but there was some deep water that was fenced off where you're not supposed to swim. Well, I was laying on a platform getting some sun when I heard some cry for help. And looking up, there was a elderly man and woman in a canoe who was canoeing in the deep water, and the canoe had overturned. Well, I dove in. The man had got a hold of the canoe and was all right. I went to his wife, got her calmed, and got her on shore. Then I went back and got the man and the canoe on shore. With that, the man started acting funny, and I asked him what the problem was. He says, I just lost my gold pen and pencil set that I was given for my retirement. So I said, I'll see if I can find it. So I swam back out to where the canoe had tipped over first. In 15 to 20 feet of water, I dove down, and on the third dive, I found his gold pen and pencil set.
Mm.
Took it back to him, and he thanked me, and I said, that's all right, and I forgot about it. I figured that was my good deed for the day. Well, about 6 months later, my scoutmaster asked me if I would help set up the hall for a special scout meeting. He didn't say what it was for, but I said, yes, I'd help him set it up. So I went over and set it up. Well, at the time, there were 2 of us that were Eagle Scouts, and we had a special place in the hall where we sat. Well, I didn't know what the whole thing was about, but that night at the meeting, the scoutmaster called the meeting to order and said, this meeting is called because of a special presentation the American Legion wants to make to a special scouts. And he turned the meeting over to the president of the American Legion, who who came up to the podium and said, "Would Eagle Scout Frank Reed come to the front, please?" I didn't know what it was about. I'd forgotten all about my episode with the people that I'd saved. Anyway, he says, the American Legion wants to present you for saving this couple's lives at the city lake. We're going to present you with the Good Citizenship Medal. Well, I was dumbfounded. And he says, and here to present this good medal to you is our friend, Miss Henry. Now, Miss Henry was the one that I hated because she had a slapping session in the 4th grade with. She came up to me, looked me up in the face, and said, "Frank, I'm proud to present this to you." She reached up and kissed me on the cheek and said, "Let's be bygones be bygones." And I said, "I can surely do that." Well, from then on, Miss Henry and I were pretty good friends.
You've had a very interesting, blessed life, Frank.
Well, I've been told about certain things throughout my life, so I have started my autobiography.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to take me a while to finish it because I just getting started on it. Every once in a while I'll remember something, and so I'll have to go back and replace it or put it into wherever part I've already written. But that's going to be the next thing that I'll present to the publisher, probably in about a year from now.
Now,
But I do have my second book. That's Male Name Slick. That's a children's book, and it seems to be going. It's in print now, and I just got word that the audio book is now out. And I just sent a manuscript to the publisher called The Toughest Guy in the Bar. And that's a book on the episodes of my oldest son, who was a black belt in judo and a bouncer in bars. I thought he was a bouncer and a black belt, but I didn't know anything about what went on in his life as a bouncer. But I found out with all the stories that he put in for me to put in the book. So that's something that's coming out in the future.
It was. Did it surprise you when he told you the stories?
Did it surprise me? I couldn't believe that they were true. I had to go to 2 and 3 outside sources that knew my son to get a confirmation that they were true. And I found that they were, so that made me pretty proud of that boy.
You work for
his younger brother now. I'm pretty proud of him too. He went through the CHP Academy and was a CHP officer for 6 years before he was in a bad accident and now unable to work.
Mm-hmm.
But he's holding his own as far as living goes.
You work for United Airlines.
I worked approximately 37 years. I started out in telephone sales in Chicago and for 2 years, and they transferred me to Denver Payload Control Office. I worked there a couple years. But being a mechanic in the Marine Corps, I always wanted to be a mechanic, and when a mechanic job opened up in San Francisco maintenance space, I applied for it and got it. And I moved to San Francisco in 1950 and became a mechanic.
Tremendous.
And that lasted till September 30th, 1982, when I retired.
My. Mother's...
And my wife at the time was starting to go downhill, so it eventually led to my selling of my home in Belmont and coming to O'Connor Woods here in Stockton, California, retirement place. And as I say, I lost her in '07, February 7th. Today's her anniversary of her death.
The children's book, A Snail Named Slick.
Yeah, that's third book that's out now. It's a little children's book, and it seems to be going over pretty good. It's also published by Tate Publishing and can be bought there. And my third book, The Toughest Guy in the Bar, is now in their hands. I haven't heard from them yet as to whether they like the story or want to publish it. But I should be hearing most any time now.
That's fantastic. Did you ever think that you'd become a writer, Frank?
Not in their wildest dreams. I thought, well, I've published this book, Mom's Six Marines, and it turned out so good, I thought anyway, I'm kind of proud of it, that when my daughter thought of writing this story, and that's a story in itself, it got started right here in my apartment on my balcony. As I have mentioned, I was a farmhand. And as they say, you can take a boy out of the farm, but not the farm out of the boy. And I'm living on a third-floor apartment with a balcony. And I had a little garden going out there. I was growing tomatoes and corn and radishes and etc. And there was a snail in it. And I didn't know it. My daughter was over one day, and she said, "Dad, look, there's a snail. It just crawled out of one of my watering holes." And I picked that snail up and threw it over the balcony. And I heard it hit the sidewalk down below, so I knew he was done for. But that teed my daughter off something awful. She bawled me out from top to bottom for killing a small snail, who was a bachelor like myself and probably couldn't eat very much. Of course, I knew what a snail could do to a small garden, so I'm glad I got rid of it. But anyway, she went in the house and started the story. And that's a snail named Slick is the end result.
That's pretty amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, go to tatepublishing.com. Mother's Six Marines, very interesting. Mother's Six Marines and a snail named Slick, a children's book. That's fantastic. Or go to amazon.com. Remember, Mother's Six Marines. What a fantastic family and a very interesting life for Mr. Frank Reed. Frank, I thank you,
George,
so very, very much for coming. Again, I thank you for your service. I thank you for your integrity. I thank you for being a great American, a great patriot. And I thank you for sitting down and putting this on paper so that other people can learn to appreciate it.
Well, it's my pleasure, and it's been a pleasure talking with you, George. And I am overwhelmed, I might say, about all the things that goes on something like this on radio. I never dreamed I'd ever be speaking to the world like this, but I hope it helps me celebrate my book. It would be a great pleasure for that.
We have listeners in the Philippines, and these are listeners that we know of. There's other people that you just never know that they're listening, but they're out there. In the Philippines, Australia, Ireland, Britain, oh my goodness, all around the world, across the nation. And I always tell people, we have listeners down the street, around the corner, across this great nation, and around the world. And Frank, you was telling me before we went on the air that you've never been on radio before, and I told you it was a piece of cake. It wasn't bad at all, was it?
It was great. I've enjoyed our talk. I don't know how to put it in words, but they say once a Marine, always a Marine, and that's the way I feel. I can't put that X in front of it because I feel once a Marine, always a Marine.
And you're absolutely right.
That's the way I've lived my life, really.
And you know, Frank, I'll let you go with this. Every time, I don't care what I'm doing, every time I hear the Marines hymn, I come to attention. And I mean that. My wife and my kids have seen it over the years, and other people have seen it, but when the Marines hymn is played or I hear it, I just come to attention. To me, and I love every man and woman that served in any of our uniforms, but you have to admit I'm somewhat biased. I think it's the most I think it's the most beautiful song in the entire world. And when I hear it,
I agree with that 100%.
when I hear it, I snap to, and I'm proud to have been in the Corps. And sir, I salute you. Thank you.
Thank you, and I would salute you back for being in the same service.
Thank you, sir. God bless you, and we'll stay in touch.
I think we will, and I'll try and get you a book copied. And if anybody wants a copy, a signed copy of the book, all they have to do is contact me, and I'll send them one.
All right. Got you, buddy.
All right.
Until then, God bless you.
Right. Thank you. Semper Fi.
Semper Fi. That just makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside. At least it does me. Man, 89 years old. Get the book, Mother's 6 Marines. I'm telling you, Mother had to be one incredible woman. 8 kids, 3 daughters, 5 sons, and a husband that served in World War I in the Marine Corps. World War I, World War II, Korea, and Vietnam, all represented by the Reed family and all serving in the United States Marine Corps. I tip my hat to that family, and I salute all my brothers and sisters that's in any uniform that's serving this great United States of America. I'll be right back after this.
I see a story with a different end. Another actor and another play. To this matter I have to attend. Sometimes I waited and sometimes I hoped. So many nights alone I had to spend. Chained by addiction and compulsory. Of those old habits that we depend. Gold on your finger makes me doubt. Ha, makes me doubt. The piece of gold. You can count me out. I turn the page and read another chapter. There is a story of a different kind, but there is something lurking in the shadows, something that bothers my mind. A piece of metal proves eternal love. There's no happy ending here to find. As long as we play by different rules, we wander around both the front lines. Gold. And a broken heart to feel the truth and reveal the weakness. A piece of it forever tear you apart. To leave the past behind and let it die. A new beginning and a new start. To keep on walking in the same old truths. Never prevent you from falling apart. Gold on your finger makes me doubt. Ha, makes me doubt. A piece of gold.
Count me out. Acetron. Oh, my. Charlie, you sure can pick 'em, buddy. I'll tell you what. I want to say thank you to our friends down there at musicalley.com. That's where Charlie goes, and he digs them out and brings them up and pops them in and puts them on and turns them on and sends them out to our listeners around the world. And then Charlie goes back to musicalley.com and lets the artists know that we played their music. And many times we were able to start a rapport with the artist. And it's just a wonderful thing. Charlie's the one who found the whole deal and, set it up. Charlie's good. He's just flat out good. I want to say thank you one more time to Mr. Frank Reed out of Stockton, California, 89 years old. He has written a book, Mother's 6 Marines. His dad, him, and his 4 brothers all served in the United States Marine Corps. His father in World War I, he in World War II, and his brothers in Korea and South Vietnam. So, I want to thank him. Get the book, Mother's 6 Marines. He's also written a children's book entitled, what was it? The Snail, I'll get it. Oh, A Snail Named Slick. That's what it is. A Snail Named Slick. That's pretty neat name. Kind of sticks with you after you can remember it. A Snail Named Slick. That's a children's book. It was just published, and he says it's doing very well. So get that. Then he's got another book that just went to the publisher, and he's waiting to hear back from him. The Toughest Man in the Bar, where his son was a black belt, and he was a bouncer in a bar, and it's several counts of what his son encountered, and so on and so forth. So go get the book. Thank you, Mr. Reed, for taking the time out and being with us. I'll tell you what. He told me before we went on the air. He said, "Man, I don't quite know about this thing," because I asked him if he was ever on radio before, and he said, "Never. He never was on radio. He never thought he would be on radio." And I told him, "Look, it's just like you and I sitting down across from one another and talking to each other. That's all it is." I think he really, really, really did well, don't you? Huh? Yes, he did. He did a fantabulous, and that's the lab word. He did a fantabulous job tonight for his first time on radio. I mean, he just, and it's just like two people sitting down talking to each other, eyeball to eyeball, and just sharing their passions and opening their heart and talking to one another. That's all it is. I always tell people, have you ever just, well, maybe you haven't, but I'm sure there's some out there. Someone stuck a microphone in front of your mouth. Well, I mean, they wouldn't stick it in your ear. You know what I mean? Oh, there I go again. I could. Lordy. I can say the dumbest things sometimes. I mean, I can say the dumbest things without even trying, without even thinking about it. But where else would they put a microphone but in front of your mouth? But anyways, have you ever noticed that when someone has to speak into a microphone, their whole countenance, their whole personality change, everything about them changes. I've met people that when you put a microphone in front of them, some of them wanted to be funny and they couldn't be funny because they was trying so hard to be funny they couldn't be funny, and then other ones just kind of did the and then and then push the microphone away and say, I can't do that. You know. But if you ever have the chance, or you ever have the opportunity to do that, whether it's your wife or your husband or your brother, your sister, whatever, just try it sometimes, and watch the reaction of people. But I'll tell you what, Mr. Frank Reed out of Stockton, California, did a fantabulous, Espin word, remember Espin word, did a fantabulous job tonight. 89 years old, first time on radio, and it's just like sitting down chatting with your friend. And if people would remember that, it would come so much easier to everyone. I want to invite you to come tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is Friday. You know what I'm saying? And it is only God that knows what is going to take place tomorrow night. Outside of the fact, tomorrow night, our guest is a man by the name of, what I do with it? Terry Allen Dotson, who is a disabled veteran, but he has written a book entitled The Medium Writer, Unshattered Spirits. And he writes the stories of people long since passed. Don't ask me how he does it. I have no clue. I'm just the vehicle that these folks can get in, and I'm just the platform that they can come and stand on and tell our listening audience their passions, the things that they're doing, the things that they want to do. And so tomorrow night, Mr. Terry Allen Dotson, who is a disabled veteran, has written the book, The Medium Writer, Unshattered Spirits. He writes the stories of people long since passed. I find that absolutely amazing. So tune in tomorrow night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time right here on the Spreaker Network. Don't forget, Saturday evening at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, right here, we will have Unshackled. Unshackled is the ministry of the Pacific Garden Mission out of Chicago, Illinois, and they do dramatization of real life stories. And this is what we will be putting on Saturday night. Let me get my button here. This is what we'll be putting on Saturday night, so you can tune in at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time.
Forgiving infidelity is extremely difficult. A woman called Terson grew up with an unfaithful father, and then she married a man who was unfaithful. Don't miss the inspiring story of how she forgave when she found someone who was faithful and true. Listen to her dramatized testimony coming soon on Unshackled.
And that will be Saturday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, right here on the Spreaker Network. And then again, Sunday morning, we'll have another one for you at 7 a.m. So make sure you mark all that stuff down. We've got some things going on around here, and I'll tell you, we're excited around here. Email me, georgece@comcast.net. That's georgece@comcast.net. Other people's excited about it. We're hearing good things about the things that we're doing. And without you, it would be absolutely worthless. It would be absolutely, what is it? Well, without you, it just wouldn't be, there I go again. You see what I mean? I get I get stuck sometimes. Oh boy. Help me, Aunt Sally, help me. Oh, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
We'll take you from where you are to where you wanna be. 'Cause radio works. take you from where you are to where you wanna be. 'Cause radio works. Radio works.
Thank you for all of your support. For your emails, email me, georgece@comcast.net, georgece@comcast.net. And all through Spreaker Network, there are some fantabulous, Espenlaub word, remember that, fantabulous broadcasters, shows of all types. I mean, if whatever you're looking for, it's on here. It's like Prego. It's in here. It's just fantabulous. So tune in to the George Espenlaub Show. Tune in to other shows when you're doing things. If you're writing papers, if you're doing your email or whatever you're doing online, just go to Spreaker.com and bring the George Espenlaub Show up, or the Swingin' 60s, or the Big Tiny Show, or Godiva Radio. It's just that there's hundreds and thousands of them, and I'm not exaggerating. Just put you one up, minimize the window. You can listen to the radio show. There's talk, there's Christian, there's oh man, I can't name them all, because everything that you would want, anything and everything that you're looking for is right here on the Spreaker Network. And you know what? They didn't pay me 1 penny to say that. Not one.
It's Sunday afternoon. The sky is still gray. The mist outside my window won't go away. Remember the teardrops. Remember the smile on your face when the rain stops falling and the sun begins to shine. And the angels are calling. I promise you'll be mine. The mud on my shoes, the umbrella in my hand is giving me some shelter from the shadows sneaking up behind. When the rain stops falling and the sun begins to shine, and the angels are
wasn't that nice. Acetron, when the rain stops falling. I like that. That was really, really, really good. Wonderful. Fantabulous. Oh, man. Let me explain something. Yeah. Charlie, you had to have something to do with that. Let me explain, ladies and gentlemen. We have just we have just received a new rooster here at the Funny Farm. I don't know why you're all laughing, because when he arrived, you was all standing there gawking at him like he was something greater than sliced bread or something. But we just got a brand new rooster. Our other rooster that see what I mean? Our other he this is a new guy, so just bear with us, please. So, who left him out and who brought him in here? Melvin. What's his name? Wilbur the window licker. They say Wilbur gets blamed for a lot of things. Wilbur the window licker. I see. He brought him in. And where's he at now? Sitting up there by the window. You mean he was sitting up there by the window? The poor Wilbur gets blamed for everything. He falls out. He'll be all right. Travis will go out and scrape him up, pick him up, shake him up, put him back together again. Let me explain. Somebody clamp his jaws shut or his beak shut, whatever you call the rooster, thingy there. Anyways, come on, man. Cut me a break here. Anyways, I got to tell you about this new rooster that we got. Now, come on, people. Work with me here. I'm just saying. I have to tell our audience about the new rooster that we received. Our old rooster kind of went on the blink. I don't know of any other way of putting it. Our old rooster, our old rooster. Well, let's just say that his cock-a-doodle-doo expired. I'm going to tell you whose fault. I'm going to tell you whose fault this is, and she has no idea that I'm going to throw her under the bus. If she's listening live, or she probably will listen later, whichever way it is, I'm going to tell you. Cindy Luciana Capetta put this. I mean, she did this thing. You know what I'm saying? It's all her fault. Now let me tell you. Our other rooster, his cock-a-doodle-doo expired, and we didn't have a rooster. See, so we had a memorial service for the rooster, and we sang songs, and then we had some people here, and I mean it really didn't work out too well, but we had some people here that was going to pretend they were a rooster in tribute of Mr. Rooster that had expired. And they was going to do the cock-a-doodle-doo thing. Some of the inmates, I mean the clients here, it didn't work out very well. In fact, it was a total disaster. But anyways, we were without a rooster. We were without a rooster for several days, and our rooster that his cock-a-doodle-doo has expired. He had it going on. Now, he was a little bit. He had somewhat of an ego. You know what I'm saying? And he was kind of what's the word? He was kind of cocky now and then. Well, he was. See, our rooster dude. Now, y'all let me get this done. Our rooster dude would strut around here like he was, like he was the greatest thing since the invention of toast or something. He'd strut around here like, I am really somebody. But, we left him do that. And he was quite cocky, and he just knew that he just knew that nobody around here could do what he does the way he does it, because he knew that he was the only rooster around here. So he had this issue, and stop it, and you couldn't convince him otherwise. He had this issue that he thought that the sun came up because he crowed. That's what he thought. He absolutely, positively believed that the sun came up because he crowed. He didn't have enough sense. We tried to tell him, but he just wouldn't accept it. He didn't have enough sense to get it through his thick head. Well, his head wasn't too thick. But whatever was in that skinny head of his. Oh, there you go, get me coughing. That's not nice. He couldn't get it in his. He couldn't get it in his skinny head that it was him that crowed because the sun came up, not the other way around. But he'd get up on top of the horse barn. That's where he did his work at, every morning. And he'd stand up there, and I mean, you had to see this to believe it. Now you just picture this. Mr. Dude Rooster. He spends the night in his little hooch down there in the barn, and then when it comes time for him to go to work, he goes up there. He flies up there on top of the roof, and he's up there on the peak, and he's he would flex his muscles, his wings. He'd spread them out, and he'd do that thing with a neck. You see people do with the neck. Turn it to the left and turn it to the right, and then make it go around and around. He'd do that neck. He'd do that neck exercises and stuff. It was a treat to watch. And then he would, it was like walking in place up there. He'd loosening up his legs and stuff. Now I don't know why he did any of this stuff, because the voice did not come out of his legs. The voice did not come out of his wings, or even his. Well, I guess the voice did come out of his neck, but none of that stuff had anything to do with his cock-a-doodle-doo. This is 2 nights in a row that I got on this, and I'm not happy with myself right now. But anyhow, he would go through all these motions, see, and then. And he would make sure that he had an audience down there on the ground looking at him. He wouldn't do his cock-a-doodle-doo until, and it's all Cindy Luciana Capetta's fault. Just remember that. Just remember that. But anyhow, he would make sure he had an audience down there that was looking up at him, and look at me, I am the one. And he would do his cock-a-doodle-doo thing. And I mean, he would do this pose when he did it, like, I can't do rooster thing, like, but you had to watch him when he did it. It was like, he was, I mean, he was like profiling, like, yeah, it's just, yeah. I mean, he really had to emphasize his cock-a-doodle-doos when he cock-a-doodle-dooed. So anyways, he expired. We had a memorial service. some of the inmates tried to emulate his cock-a-doodle-doo sound in tribute of him. That didn't work very well. We said a few words, and we said a few words, and then we kind of we said a few words, and then Brenda Groom, who is one of our chief cooks here, came and got him. I think, and I guess she went and plucked him and threw him in a pot, and somebody had roasted rooster or something. I didn't eat it. Now I'm just telling you what I saw. The last time I saw the expired dude rooster, he had already expired. It was as soon as we sang the last song. I think it was old MacDonald had a farm, and on this farm he had a rooster. We were singing in tribute of him. And the last thing I saw was Brenda Groom carrying him by his dead feet upside down, heading for the back room where she prepares things to cook. So I'm just saying, I just come to the conclusion that he ended up in the pot, and well, I mean, you can't waste anything nowadays. So anyways, we got this new rooster. So new rooster dude was delivered today, or last night, whatever it was. But he was delivered by FedEx. He came overnight, and everybody's gawking at him. Like they never saw a rooster before. But he's just a little bit nervous, and it's pitch dark outside. You know what I'm saying? Now, why is he doing this cock-a-doodle-doo stuff? It's all Cindy Luciana Capetta's fault. That's exactly what is wrong with the problem. And I don't know. Just I don't know, Charlie.
Starting to see, 'cause if I wait anymore, I'm cheating and dead. said, hey, 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 everybody. I 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 said, hey, 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 come on, come on, come on. I said, hey, 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 everybody. Hey, hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody. That was the Luminals. Hey, everybody. Did they get your attention? They sure did get mine. Just a couple things real quick, and we're going to ride this puppy out of here tonight. Remember, first of all, I want to say thanks to Mr. Frank Reed out of Stockton, California, for being with us tonight. He is the man who wrote the book, Mother's Six Marines. Mother's Six Marines. Very interesting. His father served in the Marine Corps, he served in the Marine Corps, and his four other brothers all served in the Marine Corps. So you can go to Amazon.com, or you can go to TatePublishing.com. Mother's Six Marines. Thank you, Mr. Reed, for being with us tonight. The other thing is I want to remind you, please, if you didn't listen to the show last night, please take the time to listen to it, even if you have to keep going back and start, where you left off at, because you might be very, very busy. But listen to the show last night, because we had a man on by the name of Brett Broughton, who wrote a book entitled Homeland Insecurity, Failed Politics, Policies, and a Nation at Risk. Every American, I wish somehow I could get every American to listen to the show. Forget about George Espinlop. But remember what this man says. I have his book in my hand. It is fantabulous. Homeland Insecurity, Failed Politics, Policies, and a Nation at Risk by Brett Broughton. So, go to his website. His website is Homeland-Insecurity. Don't forget the dash, the hyphen. Homeland Insecurity, Failed Politics, Policies, and a Nation at Risk. You can get it there. You can see some videos, the whole 9 yards. Homeland-Insecurity.com by Brett Broughton. And please take the time to listen to last night's show. Listen to all of them. I mean, incredible guest that comes our way. Tomorrow night, Terry Allen Dotson, who is a disabled veteran, and he wrote The Medium Writer, Unshattered Spirits. And they tell me he writes the stories of people long since passed. Now, I don't know how you do that, but we're going to find out tomorrow night. So, tune in. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're going to catch the train out of here. It's been fun. It has been a delight. Remember, there's a whole lot of love coming to you from the Funny Farm. I mean that. We love you from the depths of our heart. Email me, georgece@comcast.net. That's georgece@comcast.net. We'll answer each and every one of those emails that you send us. We've been doing it. We'll continue to do it. You keep sending, we'll keep answering. If we put a smile on your face, we're happy. If we made you just about as crazy as the rest of us around here, we're even more happier. Well, wherever you're at, if it's nighttime, have a good night. If it's already tomorrow where you're at, you have a great day. But wherever you're at and whatever it is, until tomorrow night, same time, same station, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. This is George Espinlov saying good night, and God bless you real good. Good night, everybody.